And joining me now is the former Prime Minister, Tony Abbott. Welcome back. It's been a while.
It's been too long, Lee, but it's good to be with you and your viewers tonight.
Mr Abbott, let's start with the political issues of the day. Wasn't it a bit rich of you to chide Malcolm Turnbull on Twitter for considering negotiations on gun laws when, under your leadership, the government actually did that?
Well, I was actually chiding Senator Leyonhjelm, and the point to make, Lee, is that these guns, these rapid-fire guns, were coming into Australia. The Abbott government stopped them, and the Turnbull government has kept them stopped. So you can trust this government to keep our nation safe.
But you haven't actually addressed my question, which is that you've been claiming that you would never negotiate on gun laws, but the evidence is that you actually did.
No. There's an email from a staffer in a minister's office. But as far as I'm concerned as Prime Minister, the instant I heard these guns were destined for Australia in large numbers, these rapid-fire guns, I said, no, we've got enough guns in this country already. Shooters are good people, but the last thing we want is even more lethal guns in this country, because sooner or later, the more guns you've got, the more likely it is that they'll fall into the wrong hands.
Let's have a look at that email that you just referred to. It's between the Office of the Justice Minister and Senator David Leyonhjelm's office. It says, "We confirm that Ministers Dutton and Keenan have agreed the government will amend XYZ regulations to insert a sunset clause of 12 months into the recently amended provisions which ban the importation of lever-action shotguns." And at the bottom it says, "In return, Senator Leyonhjelm will vote against the Labor amendments to the Migration Amendment." I've also got dated a couple of weeks before you finished as Prime Minister, the Governor-General ratifying that sunsetting of firearms and firearm magazines provisions.
Yeah, the bottom line in all this, Lee, is that the guns were stopped because of the Abbott government, only because of the Abbott government. But for the Abbott government, we would now have tens of thousands of these weapons in our country, and they're staying stopped because of the Turnbull government. Now, this question about a sunset clause, just about every regulation has a sunset clause, and I suspect that what these staffers were doing was telling the good senator what was happening anyway, as a matter of course, in an attempt to get him to support something that we thought was a very good idea.
But just to try to clarify,
the point I want to make, Lee, is that there were
I'm sorry to interrupt, because I just want to clarify.
No deals.
I just want to clarify this, because clearly I just read out that there was a deal to insert that sunset clause in exchange for support for a migration amendment. I just read it out.
Wrong. A staffer in a minister's office, no deals from me, no deals from my office, no deal.
But hang on, he's a minister in your government. No, sorry, but he's a minister in your government.
These guns were stopped. These guns were stopped because of the Abbott government. But for the Abbott government, we would now have tens of thousands of these weapons in this country. The Abbott government stopped them. Now, I stress, gun owners are good people, but the more guns we have, the more likely it is that they'll fall into the wrong hands. And let's not forget, it only took one ancient shotgun to lock down the city of Sydney as part of the Lint siege for some 18 hours. Now, when it comes to community safety, you've always got to err on the side of caution, and that's what the Abbott government did.
How does tweeting disapproving commentary about government negotiations help your own side?
Well, this was a point that was put to the government by Senator Leyonhjelm, and the point which has been repeatedly stressed by the Prime Minister yesterday and today is that these weapons will stay banned until they've been fully dealt with.
But that's not what I asked, Mr Abbott. I asked, how does you weighing in help your own side get clean air to prosecute the agenda it wants to prosecute?
Well, I was part of the Howard government. I was very proud to be a part of the Howard government back in 1996, when Australia got very, very good gun laws that have kept this country much safer than comparable countries for the best part of 2 decades. And the last thing that an independent senator with an obsession should be allowed to do is potentially water down these things.
For the third time, he was making
an Abbott claim,
help your own side.
And the important thing was for this senator to be reminded that the ABCC bill should be supported on its merits.
You must realise, though, that because of who you are, when you put out a tweet like that, it is viewed in a particular way.
My determination, Lee, is to be the best possible member for Warringah in this term of Parliament. But occasionally, on important national and international issues, as a former Prime Minister, I will have something to say. Now, as a senior member of the Howard government, the government which put these world best practice gold standard gun laws into place, I think it's very important that we do not play games with laws that have kept our country safe. And that's what this senator was apparently seeking to do.
All right, let's have a look at some other